you for the introduction, Anthony. Good to see so many of you here. My name's Peacey. I'm the Programme Manager for the Superfast Broadband project, programme, for the County Council. I'd like to kick off with a few bits of information about Hampshire and how that fits in and why we're running the programme as a whole. So Hampshire is home to about 1.3 million people. If you include Portsmouth, Southampton, which is very close obviously, Southampton, that's nearly 2 million people, 1.7, 1.8 million. The economic output of Hampshire, including those two areas, is £37.5 billion a year, which is roughly a fifth of the South East economy. So it's a significant economic source. And has somewhere in the region of 60 to 70,000 businesses, employing somewhere in the region of 790,000 people. So there's a lot of economic activity going on, there's a lot of commuting going on, there's a lot of driving backwards and forwards going on, as well as leisure and all those other activities that we know about, in particular for the National Park. The broadband programme as a whole, if you look at the if you look at some figures that talk about how much impact increasing broadband coverage gives to the economy, from the World Bank numbers, then you'd expect somewhere in the region of a £700 million uplift to the economy as a result of the programme we're rolling out. But those figures are always open to interpretation, I guess. So in terms of Hampshire's economy, roughly 50,000 people are employed in ICT and digital media. These are the breakdowns of the employment structures. So in the top right-hand corner there you've got employment along the bottom and value on the left. Top right-hand corner, ICT and digital media. I imagine lots of you are involved in that already. Employs 50,000 people, generates about £4 billion a year of GVA. Financial services, similar sorts of value, but only half the number of employees. But a lot of those people are working in distributed locations, so they're not necessarily in an office block, they're working from home. And similarly for marine and aerospace and advanced engineering, we used to do some work with Caverna, and one of the things they were very keen on was having distributed workforces that could work on building power stations and oil wells across the globe at any particular point in time. So being stuck in an office is not something that they were particularly keen on doing. In terms of the new forest, that's quite well indicated here really by the flow of people commuting out. So we've got 29,000 people commuting out from the last census every day to Southampton and areas beyond. And then equally, coming back inwards, we've got nearly 22,000 people commuting into the forest. So clearly that has a massive impact on the roads. You've got the M27 across the top obviously, but there was not really much opportunity to build more roads. So anything we can do to reduce that impact on the roads is worthwhile. Broadband infrastructure, particularly superfast broadband infrastructure, helps with that message, so it reduces the amount of that commuting required and allows people to stagger their journeys more easily. So it does have a direct impact on the economy and your sort of quality of life, I guess. So in terms of the programme itself, what is it we're actually building? Well, it's an open access network built by Openreach, which has a multitude of suppliers on it. They range from BT Retail to Sky, TalkTalk, PlusNet. There's about 100 and something of them that offer superfast services. So although BT builds the infrastructure, it's not just BT that sells it. So you've got choice there in terms of what you would like to buy. What is it we're actually doing? We're filling the gap really between the cost of installing the infrastructure and the amount that consumers are willing to pay for it. So what this graph just tries to show is, if you imagine each of those bars is the total cost of installing a cabinet in a particular area, the blue part of the graph is how much people are willing to pay, and the red part is how much we're having to put in from taxpayer support, basically, to deliver that infrastructure. At the moment, it's about a 70-30 split for the main programme, but it's progressive, so we're going to get to 90-95% or thereabouts as we go further into the programme. Because as we go further in, it's more expensive to deliver. When we get there are fewer customers to connect to. But I'll show you some more figures on that in a minute. So what is the programme as a whole? We're aiming to deliver 95-96%, maybe a bit more than 96% coverage by the end of 2018 or so. We have that split into two contracts. So we're in the middle of delivering contract one at the moment, which is a £10 million project, which will enable something like 59,000 households to get superfast broadband. There are another 10,000 properties on top of that, which will get an improved speed, but it won't necessarily be superfast. So we're only going to talk about superfast speeds. That's roughly 330, 340 cabinets across the whole county. The New Forest is getting 95 of those cabinets, so you're getting a sizable chunk of investment in the New Forest district area. 48 of those are live already, and there's another 47 to come to follow by the end of this year. We also managed to take part in a thing called the RCBF programme, Rural Community Broadband Fund. Some people may remember that, and have the scars to prove the amount of information we had to gather to make that work. We secured another £1 million to go on top of the 10 million for the first contract through that process. That's split roughly across the Test Valley area and the New Forest District New Forest District area as well. And I'll show you a map which shows the coverage for those two. We've also managed to work with central government to attract a trial called the Innovation Fund, which is their attempt to try and understand the costs and the type of business models and going beyond 95 to 96% to reach that last 4% to get to 100. That's a £1.2 million trial which is taking place just near Alsford. Covers about 1,500 properties, maybe 1,600 by the time we finish it. So again, that's adding to the total that we're working on, and that will help hopefully give us some more information about how we might deliver beyond 95 or 96%. The current contract ends at the end of this year, and that will give us 90% coverage. We've just signed a deal, a second contract, which is an £18.4 million investment, to extend that coverage from 90 to 96%. That will cover roughly another 35,000 properties, and yet it's nearly £18 million, so it was over £18 million. As you can see, the cost as we go further and further in goes up and up and up. So it's more than double the cost for less than half the coverage. So just really to give you an idea of those figures. The national park area, the district, New Forest district, we're expecting something like 500 postcodes to be covered as a result of that investment. We don't know yet though what the outcome will be. We're still working on that. Probably have some more information about that towards the end of this year. But we know where the investment's going to take place. We just don't yet know what the outcome will be for each of those. So I just wanted to give you an idea about the scale of the problem, I guess, that we face with the New Forest. The big green areas on the map contain, although they're the vast bulk of the geography, only actually contains about 6,000 properties. So when we're trying to go and roll out infrastructure in these areas, it's really difficult. It's very expensive to reach. There's a lot of long runs for fibre and all that kind of stuff. And then when you get there are very few customers to connect to repay the cost. So it's a difficult problem. Luckily, there are quite a few people in the sort of more densely populated parts, and they're the areas that we've delivered to already, really. So New Milton, Billington, places like that, where we've actually managed to make quite a lot of headway. And that's probably where the majority of the existing cabinets are already going. But if I show you how the coverage sort of looks. So that was at the beginning with contract one. Green area, the grey areas are the areas covered by commercial investment. The green areas are the areas of our 90% programme, and then the red areas are the areas for investment for the RCBF programme. So that's the additional £1 million worth of investment that we brought in. A word of caution, those are postcode areas covered. They're not to do with outcomes. So some of those postcodes are really big, and people at one end of them will get something, and people at the far end won't, just because of the way technology works. However, that's we've got to start somewhere. This is a more detailed chart, really, which gives you the idea of the coverage that we're gaining from contract one, the coverage that we're then gaining from contract two, and the cabinets that we've rolled out in contract one. So the green areas, well, light green, I think they're probably easiest to call, are contract 1 areas. The red pins, they're cabinets that we're rolling out, so there are 95 of those cabinets being rolled out across the national park, across the district.
Yep.
And the purple areas are postcodes that we're going to revisit or visit for the first time with contract 2. So as you can see, it's filling in quite a lot of the areas. Most of the towns are already covered, so it's very difficult to illustrate that on this chart. So as a summary of where we are so far, we've delivered 48 cabinets already, so they're installed live and people can take orders. There are 47 cabinets left to do. That covers something like 18,000 properties. So there's a lot of work going on, there's a lot of investment going on. It is difficult sometimes. We would like to roll things out a bit faster, but sometimes there are problems that we encounter, be it trying to work inside the national park, things like SSI requirements, Verde's requirements, Natural England, Forestry Commission. So there are 5 parties to deal with, whereas in other areas there are perhaps only 1 or 2. And that has slowed us down a little bit. However, we've got a plan for dealing with those issues, and we're pretty confident that we will get those 47 cabinets to follow quite rapidly. What next? I think that at the moment we've probably reached as far as we can get with the existing technology for contract 1 and contract 2, so that gets to sort of 96% coverage. For the properties that remain, we're really looking for some new technology to come along. There's a product which Grant and the others from BT may talk about later, called Fibre to the Remote Node. That helps. There's some more developments coming to make fibre to the prem cheaper, but they're not available yet, so we'll have to see how that comes along, and then whether or not there's a third procurement. We don't know. Central government may decide that this is so important we need to do 99%, in which case they may make more money available to make that happen. We'll have to wait and see. There are always developments though with other technologies outside of any government activity. We've seen quite a lot of wireless already. There's a company called Click4 Internet which operates just on the Isle of Wight, has expanded sort of into the southern edge of Beaulieu perhaps. There may be more activity there. 4G mobile phone coverage is surprisingly growing quite a lot. It's probably not the answer for people who want to be online all the time, but if you're in an area with sub-2 meg coverage and you just need something that will allow you to put a business report in, be able to actually work from home a little bit, then the 4G solutions are looking quite appealing from that point of view, but they are quite expensive currently in terms of contracts, cost. But I was checking even here, I've got 4G coverage in the car park, so it's surprising how far it spreads, how quickly. Satellites will play a part. We expect, it's going to be part of the solution for those very remote areas with sub-2 meg current provision. Community self-funding is also likely to follow, and we're already working with a number of communities that want to raise their own money and build their own solution and maybe contract directly with BT or another supplier. And Fordingbridge, one on the Fordingbridge Exchange, I can't remember which holiday park, but it deals with one of the holiday parks, and they went down.
It's only one
that only route. Yes, we may well all know it already. Yeah, so that's looking quite well. And then we're looking at a way through procurement. We don't know. The central government may decide they want to put more money in. We're waiting to see how that shapes up. So really, the summary I'll give is that we've delivered half what we said we were going to deliver so far. We've got the other half still to do this year. The overall investment will bring something like 18,000 properties, additional properties across the forest. We've got the 95% programme which will start next year, so that's looking quite promising. The best thing to do if you want to know what's going to be wrong in your area is to use our website. If you go to the hamps.gov.uk/broadband website, so I'll put the next slide up, put your postcode in and it will tell you what's going on. It may not be the message you want to hear because it might say we're not doing anything or it may later next year, but it is the most accurate information that we have. Please do use that. This is helpful as we managed to make it. We are on Twitter as well, so do follow us on Twitter, and we do put announcements out when cabinets go live and that kind of thing. In terms of local investment, Cabinet 1, I know because I'm sure some people here will be interested in Cabinet 1, we've had a lot of problems with getting the power connections made for that, and SSE, the electrical contractor, is going to be doing some work on that on Thursday and Friday this week, at the same time as the existing road closure. So we do try and tie things together when we can and take advantage of local knowledge where that's possible. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Glenn.